They
The
called me
contents
the
of this
lucky
letter will
one.
change
I had
everything.
married into a
Indeed they
close-knit
will.
family, a warm family, the kind that took pictures at every meal, hugged too long, laughed too loud. And for a while, I believed it. I was Nathan, quiet, reliable, the man who always offered to help carry the heavy boxes and stayed late to clean up after family dinners. My wife, Elena, was the favorite daughter. Her parents adored her, her younger sister clung to her, and I tried to earn my place. At first, I thought the jokes were harmless. Nathan, you always pick up the check, right? Hey, bro-in-law, we should bring you on all our vacations. They said it with smiles, but something always twisted behind their eyes, like they were testing the limits of what I'd accept without flinching. Then came my daughter's 6th birthday party. Balloons, cake, too many sugar-high kids. Her father handed me a plate and chuckled. She's lucky she looks like one of us. I froze. Not because I understood what he meant, but because for the first time, I started to doubt what I'd built my life around. At first, I told myself it was just coincidence. One forgotten wallet, one emergency loan, one vacation where I just happened to cover the Airbnb, and the food, and the gas. But the pattern wasn't hiding anymore. It was bold, brazen, right in front of me. Elena's mom would say things like, "Nathan, you're the responsible one. That's why we trust you to handle these things." And I did, because I wanted to belong, because I wanted them to see me as family. But slowly, quietly, the weight started to shift. Their smiles became expectations. Their oops, we forgot moments became habits. Their laughter became routine, while I became invisible. Even when I paid for the entire beach trip last summer, Elena didn't say thank you. She just kissed my cheek and said, "You're amazing, babe. You always take care of us." And I wanted to believe it. I wanted that kiss to mean more than convenience. I wanted to believe this wasn't one-sided. Because love makes you explain things away, even when the shadows are forming patterns right in front of your face. It was just another night. The kind where your wife falls asleep watching some rom-com on the couch, and you quietly gather her things before heading to bed. Elena's phone was face down on the comforter, still warm from her hand, still glowing from a notification. I picked it up, intending to send a simple goodnight message to her mom. That's it. But the screen lit up. A single text. "He doesn't suspect a thing." From your sister. Time slowed. I didn't blink, didn't breathe. The air in the room shifted like the walls were listening. My thumb hovered. I didn't open the full thread. I didn't need to, because in that one moment, without names, without explanations, I understood everything. And somehow the scariest part wasn't the betrayal. It was how unsurprised I was. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't scream. I didn't even pace the room like people do in movies. I just sat down, on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, still, heavy. My heart didn't race, my breath didn't catch, because deep down, I already knew. I'd known for months, maybe years. I just never had the courage to say it out loud. Not to her, not even to myself. Flashbacks came like waves. Her sister's hand brushing mine as she passed the salt. Longer than necessary. Intentional. Her giggle when she called me big bro with that tone, that flirtatious tone no sister-in-law should ever use. And then there was Elena. The way she watched us, not confused, not concerned, but calculating, like she was watching a game she helped set up, and I was just the fool who kept paying for the tickets. There's a moment right after your world cracks open where you ask yourself, do I want to stay blind, or do I want to know everything? I chose the truth, not because I was brave, but because I couldn't live with the questions anymore. So I did what people like me never think we'll do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Mr. Callan. Gray suit, flat voice, eyes like stone. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. He'd seen enough men like me before. Tired, suspicious, halfway broken. Find out everything. I want facts. No emotion, no assumptions, just evidence. That was all I told him, but I didn't sit back and wait. I started my own quiet war. I kept a small notebook tucked in my nightstand. Every glance, every absence, every too long whisper between Elena and her sister. Times when her phone buzzed and she'd turn her body just slightly, just enough to shield it from me. The days of me playing dumb were over. There were nights I'd pretend to sleep, only to hear her softly walking into the kitchen and then whispering on a call I wasn't meant to hear. The most painful part, I never once heard my name. I wasn't in the conversation, because I had never really been in the relationship. I was just the safety net, the fool with the steady hands and steady paycheck. And then came the moment I never thought I'd reach. The one that would confirm the truth or kill me slowly for doubting it. My daughter. I watched her sleep that night curled up like a question mark. A 6-year-old, innocent and soft. And yet, I needed to know. I took the items gently. Her toothbrush, a used napkin, a stray hair from her Elsa comb. I packaged it like a gift I never wanted to open. Slipped it into a family ancestry test kit, the kind marketed with smiling families on the box, and I sent it off. You're not just asking for truth, I told myself. You're asking for the courage to accept it. And that was the scariest part of all. The wait was worse than the truth. 10 days. 10 days of pretending nothing had changed, of pouring coffee in the morning while my hands shook just enough to spill, of kissing my daughter goodnight and silently begging the universe to be wrong. 10 days of watching Elena laugh like nothing was broken. 10 days of hearing her sister's voice echo from the hallway, sweet, high-pitched hollow. I didn't sleep. Not really. Some nights I sat on the floor of our walk-in closet with the light off, just breathing, counting ceiling tiles I couldn't see, listening to the hum of the refrigerator like it was the only thing holding me together. Because there's a special kind of torment in waiting for proof you already believe. And then, day 10 came, a Thursday. The phone rang at 6:43 p.m. I remember the exact time because I had been staring at the clock for hours waiting for it to ring and dreading that it would. Mr. Callan didn't hesitate. His voice was like a gavel, cold, final, emotionless. She's not biologically yours. There it was. 10 syllables that ended 6 years of certainty. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I just sat there, on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, staring through the wall, through the noise. In the next room, Elena and her sister were laughing. Wine glasses clinked. A rom-com was playing on TV. It was almost poetic how life didn't pause when mine did. There's something sacred about silence before the storm. Not the kind of silence that hides fear, but the kind that sharpens it. That night, I became someone else. Not a husband, not a father, not a victim. A collector of moments, of facts, of ruins. I started with her phone, the old one she thought she had wiped clean. Turns out nothing digital ever truly disappears. In a hidden folder labeled Vacakix, I found screenshots, conversations, a video. It was from the night of our engagement party. I remember that night so clearly, me pacing outside on the balcony, practicing my proposal speech like an idiot. And inside, my fiancé, her sister, and him, laughing, drinking, touching. I watched it with no sound, because the silence hurt less than hearing their voices. I took screenshots of every message, saved every photo, every timestamp. I found hotel receipts, one of them during the week I was out of town on business, audio recordings from her phone's voice memo app, whispered calls, a voicemail she never meant for me to hear. I didn't cry, didn't tremble. I bought a USB stick, one of those sleek metallic ones you'd use for office reports, and I loaded it, piece by piece, lie by lie, until it was heavy, not just in storage space, but in truth. That little device, it wasn't a weapon, it was a gravestone. The night before our anniversary dinner, she painted her nails. Red. Always red. The same color she wore on our wedding day. the same shade she'd tap against champagne glasses and shopping carts. It was her signature, loud, confident, untouchable. She sat on the couch, legs crossed, focused, a towel on her lap, a bottle of wine beside her. Her phone face down like always. I watched her, not with anger, not even with sadness, but with the kind of silence that holds a goodbye inside it. I sat across from her, calm, unreadable, and reached into my coat pocket. A manila envelope. Thick, unmistakable. I placed it on the coffee table between us. She looked up, nail brush frozen midair. "What's this?" Her voice didn't waver, not yet. "Open it." That's all I said. No trembling, no accusation. Just 2 words that carried 6 years of weight. She put the nail polish down, wiped her hands slowly with a paper towel, and reached for the envelope. I watched her open it. First, the photos, then the screenshots, and finally, the DNA results. She blinked. Once, twice. Her eyes moved fast, left, right, left again, as if trying to outrun the evidence, but she couldn't. And in that moment, she knew, I knew, the restaurant was expensive, elegant. The kind of place with gold lettering on the menus and servers who walked like they floated. It was our family celebration, our anniversary, or at least that's what they called it. Everyone was there, Elena, her parents, her sister, all dressed up, all grinning, like nothing had cracked beneath the surface. The wine poured freely. The laughter came too easily. They told old stories, recycled jokes, and raised their glasses with fake sincerity. "To love," her father said, glass raised. "To loyalty," her mother added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I sat there quiet, observing, watching a performance I had already seen too many times. And then came the line, the one that was meant to sound light, charming, innocent. Her sister leaned toward me, head tilted, voice honeyed and soft. "Oh, brother-in-law, we forgot our wallet. And our cards, too. You don't mind, right?" Like always, like every time before. The table chuckled. Her parents grinned like it was all part of the tradition. Elena didn't even blink. It was a test, another round of the same game. Only this time, they didn't know the rules had changed. I didn't laugh, didn't answer, didn't even blink. I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out a small USB drive. Silver, clean, cold, and I placed it on the table, next to the wine, next to the laughter that hadn't fully died yet. The room fell quiet. Confused smiles slowly faded. Chairs creaked as people shifted uneasily. I looked at no one in particular when I spoke. Inside this drive is everything. Photos, screenshots, texts, a DNA test, and a video from the night you thought no one saw anything. Her father tilted his head. Her mother gripped her napkin tighter. Elena stared. Her sister stopped smiling. I looked directly at them now. A video of you and him on the night of your anniversary. While I was outside planning my speech, a fork dropped, wine spilled. No one moved. I didn't shout, didn't cry. I just looked at them finally as who they truly were. You thought I'd never find out. You thought I'd keep playing my role. But tonight, the script has changed. There was no yelling, no slammed fists, no dramatic exit, only stillness, and a silence so loud it echoed inside my ribs. I stood up, slowly, deliberately. The chair made a soft creak as I pushed it back, but even that sound felt out of place, in a room that had finally gone quiet for all the right reasons. I reached down, buttoned my coat, smoothed out my sleeves. My hands didn't shake. I wasn't performing anymore. No one spoke. Elena's eyes followed me, like she was seeing me for the first time, not as her husband, but as someone who had just reclaimed something she thought she'd broken, his dignity. I glanced once at the USB on the table, that tiny drive still resting next to a half-empty wine glass and a silver fork that hadn't been touched since it dropped. Then I said it. Happy anniversary. Just those 2 words. Not bitter, not sarcastic, just final. I didn't look back. Not when her mother gasped, not when her sister mouthed something I couldn't hear, not when Elena rose halfway from her seat but didn't dare speak. Because I already knew any apology now would only be for show. Any tears now would be to salvage ego, not love. Any words now would mean nothing. There's a kind of power in quiet exits. No explosions, no scorched earth, just the soft click of shoes walking away from a table that had long stopped being a home. And for the first time in years, I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I was leaving with the one thing I hadn't felt in a long, long time: peace. The air outside was cold, but it didn't bite, not like the silence I had just left behind. I walked toward my car slowly, like a man coming out of surgery. Lighter, still aching, but free of what was killing him. I sat behind the wheel, closed the door, took one last breath, and then my phone buzzed. I picked it up. A message from my lawyer. No greetings, no fluff, just the facts. Divorce filed, custody secured, assets protected. 3 sentences, 12 words. And in them, a whole new life. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Not shocked, not sad, just still. It was over. Not with a bang, not with a fight, just closure. Clean, precise, irreversible. I started the engine, pulled away from the curb, and left behind everything that was never really mine to begin with. The new apartment wasn't big. No marble countertops, no chandelier, just clean walls and silence. The kind of silence that doesn't suffocate, but heals. For the first time in years, I woke up without checking her side of the bed, because there was no her anymore, only me, and that was enough. I made coffee, watched the steam curl from the mug like morning smoke. No one interrupted me. No one asked for money. No one lied with a smile. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want chaos. I just needed space to think, to feel, to exist without performance. There's a strange beauty in starting over. You don't rise like a phoenix. You wake up like a man who survived the fire and finally stepped into his own skin. I didn't seek revenge. I only gave them the truth. I didn't lose a family. I only lost the ones who never saw me as part of theirs. And in the end, I didn't lose anything. I reclaimed myself, not through anger, not through destruction, but through something far stronger: silence. Because sometimes the quietest man in the room is the one who already knows how the story ends. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is not in holding on, but in walking away with your truth intact. This story reminds us that love without respect is a cage, and family without honesty is just performance. You can give and give, but if the people around you are only taking, it's not love, it's survival. Choose the kind of peace that doesn't beg to be earned. Choose yourself when no one else will. If this story moved you, if it made you pause, reflect, or remember your own moments of quiet strength, don't leave just yet. Subscribe to Whispers of Life, because every week we bring you real stories with real emotion, told not to shock, but to heal. Your story matters. Let's keep whispering truths together. Tap that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're just getting started.